economic position plays a role in whether or not you commit crime?
Yeah, I think that's a definite yes. A lot of crime occurs in poverty, and poverty is an environment whereby people are competing for scarce resources. Sometimes that competition is defined by the powers that be as crime. So most definitely, economics quite often is the largest driver of crimes.
Poverty is traumatic. Poverty comes with a lot of trauma.
So if you think of the brain as use dependent, what that means is it's like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. The parts you use more get stronger. The parts you use less get weaker. When babies are developing into childhood, toddlerhood, and even into adulthood, the brain keeps developing until about mid to late 20s. You have experiences that give your brain exercise, that cause it to get stronger and to grow. When people have traumatic experiences, the part of the brain that triggers your panic response, like when something bad is about to happen and you feel that kind of, your heart races and you've got that panic thing that happens, the part of your brain that makes that happen is the sympathetic nervous system. That part gets too much exercise when you're little, and it can get too strong. The other part of your brain, which this isn't the same thing, the parasympathetic nervous system is what stops that response and brings you back to normal. That part doesn't get enough exercise when there's repeated trauma. So what it can look like in a person is that they are always what we call hyper-aroused. Those are the people that are really easy to startle, easy to get really upset. You may know people that it doesn't take anything, and before you know it, they blow up. That's kind of what that looks like in adulthood.
There is one that has impacted my life all too hectically, I guess you can say. Once upon a time I was in a abusive relationship, and it scared me half to death. Like, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to handle it.
Factor into any criminal activity?
I wouldn't say it was really criminal, but I did turn towards violence to handle a lot of my emotions versus me doing other things to handle it. I chose to use violence anymore.
All right. Can you explain your mindset during these traumatic experiences?
Well, my mindset really was like, how am I going to get through this by myself? Because at the time, I really didn't have a lot of friends, and I was too scared to tell my brothers and my father because I didn't want them to go to jail for me. So it was just like, how am I going to get through this by myself? And if I do get through it, am I going to get through it alive, or am I going to get through it by death?
Have you ever been through a traumatic experience?
Yes, I have been through a traumatic experience. I once was pregnant. I had a miscarriage. I was 3 months.
How did that make you feel?
It made me feel sad because I really wanted my baby. And now at the time, I still feel sad, even though I know there's more times to come. And I was depressed.
Did that invoke any type of criminal activity in a way?
It provoked criminal activity because I once wanted to commit suicide.
Okay. First question. What was life like before NLCP Phoenix basketball team?
Life without basketball, NLCP basketball team, it was very hard because as a young boy, I never had that role model to push me. So I used to be on the streets a lot, and I was forced to be in gangs and do drugs at a young age and everything. I never had that father in my life to tell me not to do that, stay in school or play sports.
Well, certainly attention is what they're looking for. I think that's why many of them are recruited to the streets. So I think it's important to show love for these kids and supporting to show guidance. And, that's what we do. We just try to give them attention. We just try to lead them down the right path.
Where would I be at this team? I wouldn't be here right now. I wouldn't be doing this interview. I wouldn't be in this. I probably wouldn't even be in school because before I even started playing basketball, I really wasn't going to school. Like 8th grade, I got suspended my last month of school. So I basically went to summer school, got through it. I couldn't find a high school, so I just stopped playing basketball. And North Lawndale wanted me to come here and play basketball for them. So we went for basketball. I won't be nowhere, to be honest.
I would say at least 70% of the teams that I'm associated with each season is troubled in some way.
Introduced to basketball, it brought me off the streets, got me focused in school, got me stop doing drugs because drugs mess your body up. And in order to play basketball, you have to have a healthy body and everything. So,
what bumps have you ran into when trying to help these athletes?
Many of these athletes that are troubled, their primary trouble come through finances. So you have many out there selling drugs and things of that nature. And I think when you have people on the street that's recruiting these young guys, I think the money end of it is the biggest issue to overcome.
Bravado, there's violence, there's aggression in an environment where people don't, where the unemployment rate is upward of 50%. The way people get money is usually in the underclass culture.
And I went and I taught at a place called IC Stars, which stands for Inner City Computer Stars. And it helps folks from the south and west sides of Chicago get training in business, leadership, and technology, and helps them get great entry-level jobs in tech.
God gives us all a gift, and I think I've been blessed with that gift of motivating and working with our youth. And I love to see the end game, the rewards. I really, really feel good in my heart.
What are some things the people in their environment can do to spot a troubled teen?
The first thing that I recommend all adults do is open their minds to not look at young people as just behaving badly, because behavior is purposeful. Behavior is how young people communicate when they don't have the words. So if somebody is acting out, adults usually in school settings and other settings automatically say that is misbehavior and we need to treat that with discipline. I don't necessarily think that's always the case. If you have an open mind and you ask yourself, what's the real purpose of this behavior? What's this person trying to communicate to me? The answer isn't always discipline. Sometimes it's listening, sometimes it's nurturing, sometimes it's something else completely.